Three. Hey everyone, and welcome to our podcast style discussion on critical thinking. And today, we're taking a deep dive into chapter 3, which is development of analytical skills.
Now, let's be honest. This chapter has a solid foundation, but we think it could be way better. More real world applications, interactive learning, and expert insights. So, today we're going to show you how we can make it even more useful and engaging.
Exactly, Hanif. We are bringing in our amazing speakers who will explore different ways to enhance analytical thinking. So, without delaying, let's get started. First, Haruki will tell us how real-world examples and debates can make this chapter more stronger.
Haruki, you're kicking us off. The chapter talks about analytical thinking, but how can we improve it?
A great question. One big issue is that the chapter lacks real-world scenarios. It tells us what analytical thinking is, but it doesn't help students apply it.
So, what's a better way to teach analytical skills?
The answer is case studies. Harvard Business Review showed that learning through real-world case studies improve decision-making. Imagine a business struggling with declining sales. Instead of just reading scenarios, students analyze the issue, identify key points, key problem, and suggest solution. This teaches logical reasoning and decision making.
Well, that's great. That's a great example. But looking, but what about looking at a different perspective?
Glad you asked. The devil advocate approach is another game changer. Students argue both for and against an idea. According to the Stanford University, debating both sides boosts logical reasoning skill because it forces study to think critically about those own arguments.
So, adding case studies and structured debates would make students analyze problem deeper and think smarter.
Exactly. And that's why we think these should be added to chapter 3.
Awesome, Haruki. Thank you. Now, let's move on to Winnie, who is going to tell us how interactive learning makes analytical thinking even stronger than before.
So, Winnie, right now, this chapter mostly focus on individual learning. How can we make it more interactive?
Okay, that's the issue. The chapter treats analytical thinking as a solo skill, but studies show that interactive learning is far more effective. One of the best methods is using AI-driven simulation and games.
AI in learning? Sounds cool, but how does that help?
AI tools adapt to student skills and provide personalized feedback. The National Training Laboratories found that interactive learning has a 75% retention rate compared to only 10% for passive learning.
That's a massive difference. And what about teamwork?
That's where case study challenges come in. Harvard case study method is used worldwide because it teaches students how to analyze problems in teams. The more students work together, the stronger their reasoning skill become.
So, are you saying that AI tools and team-based challenges are the key?
Yes, absolutely. These methods make learning more engaging, practical, and effective.
Great insight, Winnie, and thank you. Now, let's hear from Jenny about workshop for practical learning. Jenny, how do workshop improve analytical thinking?
Workshop gives students real-time problem-solving experience. Right now, the chapter lacks structured group discussions, but workshop force students to think critically on the spot and apply their knowledge.
Well, that makes sense. Do companies also use workshops too?
Yes, absolutely. Google uses design thinking workshop to train their employees in problem solving and also decision making. If Google uses them, why shouldn't we?
That's a great point. Now let's hear from Ruby about applying critical thinking in real life. Ruby, why is it important to apply critical thinking in real life?
Because critical thinking isn't just important for school, it's a crucial skill for the future. In fact, the World Economic Forum lists it as a top job skill for 2025. But the chapter doesn't really show us how to apply it in real life.
So for you, what is the best way to fix the problem?
We should add debates, case studies, and real-world decision-making tasks. These activities will help students to build adaptability and reasoning skills, which are essential in everyday life and professional settings.
That makes so much sense. Next, let's hear from Grace about learning from experts.
All right, Grace, why is it important to learn from experts?
Well, that's because real world experience matters. The chapter lacks insights from professionals, and adding guest speakers and expert panels would really help students connect theory with real world applications.
So, is there any real life examples for this?
Absolutely. TED Talks or workshops feature experts explaining how critical thinking improves decision making. If we bring in industry professionals for Q&A sessions, students will gain a deeper understanding of how analytical thinking applies in real-world settings.
That's a fantastic suggestion. Now let's hear from Haruka on incorporating real-world case studies.
So, Haruka, how can real world case studies improve this chapter?
Okay. Right now, the chapter explains theories but doesn't show how analytical thinking applies to real-world problems. By adding case studies from business, technology, and social issues, students can understand how these skills help solve real problems.
All right, and can you give me an example?
Sure. Take the 2015 Volkswagen emissions scandal, where Volkswagen manipulated emissions data to make their cars seem eco-friendly. Analyzing these cases forces students to break down data, evaluate ethical concerns, and understand corporate decision-making flows. These are essential analytical skills.
That's a great real-world connection. Now let's hear from Ryu about AI and data analytics.
Okay, now, Ryu, why should AI and data analytics be part of analytical thinking?
Because modern decision making relies heavily on AI-driven analysis. The chapter doesn't mention how big data, machine learning, and AI models have improved problem-solving skills.
So, can you give an example for it?
Sure. For example, Netflix recommendation system, it analyzes billions of data points to predict what users will watch next. This is data-driven analytical thinking at work. Understanding AI's role in decision making prepare students for future careers in business, tech, and research.
That's an important point. AI isn't just for tech expert, it's influencing how we think every day.
Oh, that's a very deep dive into how we can improve this chapter 3. From a real world case study to AI driven learning, we explore many ways uh, to make analytical thinking more practical and engaging for everyone.
Exactly. This enhancement make learning more interactive, relevant, and applicable to real life. We're not just reading about critical thinking, we're actually applying it.
Yeah, and that's what makes all the difference. Now, we did love to hear from you. Do you think these changes will improve learning? Feel free to share your thoughts.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay curious, keep questioning, and never stop thinking. thinking critically.